Oh, LSU not going to the Final Four. Second consecutive year, 3 straight Elite Eights overall. Unbelievable stuff from Kim Mulkey. But let's first start by giving a lot of credit to UCLA. They were the better team. Tamia, whatever her last name is, was incredible to not shoot a shot versus Ole Miss and then come out here looking like prime Kevin Durant. Their role players were better than our role players today. You didn't get the same out of Samaya Smith, even though defensively she had her hands full with, Lauren BETTS. And Smith was really good defensively today, but nothing really offensively. But, if you really want to point the finger at anyone, it would be UCLA. This was a team with revenge, a team that we beat in a game very similar to this one, and they were just better today. But when I tell you that I witnessed today the worst call I have ever seen in a basketball game, it literally was the worst. I don't recall a call as bad as that missed out of bounds ruling that happened right in front of the damn ref's face. Kim Mulkey right in front of our bench. That was pretty demoralizing. But the truth is we have got to surround our team with better players. Look, I understand that Kaylin Gilbert is going to get ostracized by so many. It was an all-time bad game to go 0 from the field and then commit that foul at the end. It's tough, but I'm not going to pile on Kaylin Gilbert at all. I don't understand why Kim Mulkey did not take her out of the game. I did not understand why at that juncture you don't try another guard in that spot. That was, and I've been very praiseworthy of Kim and her overall managing of this roster. But the biggest decisions, and I'm steadfast with this, very steadfast and consistent. And I'm looking at each and every one of you. The single most important thing you need to do as a coach is play the right players. And Gilbert just didn't have it today. Now, you can make the argument. You can make a very strong argument that Kaylin Gilbert was our clutchest player. You go back to the Washington game early in the year. She had the game winner. Tennessee game. She had the game winner. She had clutch plays in other games. So I understand wanting to keep her in crunch time, but I didn't understand some of the rotations that they made. But I'm not going to pile on Kaylin Gilbert too much. She overall was a net positive for this team, and this was a very, very tough spot. But holy crap, she played terrible. You got to hit those shots in the fourth quarter. At least hit one of them. One of those shots changes potentially the outcome of this game. But the thing that hurt LSU last season was the supporting cast, and in particular, the supporting guards. Obviously, Michaela Williams is great. Flau'jae did not have her best Spokane regional, knowing what she did last year in the NCAA tournament and what she did in the last two games. She was better in this game compared to the last. She still wasn't as dominant, obviously, as she was last year versus UCLA, but this is the major program-defining thing that we need to do. Our guards have got to be developed better. All right, there is not a single reason why we were not a better team with Haley Van Lith last year. It is perplexing that she has gone to TCU and maybe the best guard outside of Paige Becker's left in the tournament. And then now we struggle outside of our big three guards trying to identify who our guards are outside of course, Michaela Williams and Flau'jae Johnson. And the thing is, you don't need that player to be revolutionary either. But, I think Poa did some good things today. But I was just a little shocked. I would have taken Gilbert out and played Poa again or Day Wilson or whatever. But look, this happens all the time. And they brought up, and by the way, I'll say it 1,000 times, coming from a play-by-play broadcaster, and I call a lot of women's college basketball games. Ryan Ruocco is the best play-by-play women's basketball announcer I have ever seen, period. Full stop. He's that damn good. He had a Don Beebe reference from the Buffalo Bills in this game. This is nuts. She mentioned what we did a few years ago versus Iowa, where our role players stepped up and hit crazy shots. That's what UCLA's role players did today. And when they come out here and they are knocking down, and these were not just easy threes. The Tamia girl hit difficult threes. We had hands in her face. And she decided to turn into Caitlin Clark mixed with Cheryl Miller. She did not take a shot in the last game. So think about it this way. Okay. Jasmine Carson, a few years ago, Iowa could not have had in their scouting report that Jasmine Carson would have done what she did. And it was ultimately what won us the game. Okay. There's no way you can scout for an opposing team in a short period of time. And you look at the most recent game versus Ole Miss, and a player does not take a single shot in that game. And then, in this game, she goes crazy. It is really tough to deal with that. So, sometimes basketball is just that. But outside of that, I don't know exactly where I want to place the most blame. Let's talk about Kim, because obviously Kim is the major factor. She is the single most important person in this entire thing. I don't think outside of the Gilbert management, she was necessarily great or bad in this game. Okay. I really don't. It was a well-played game between two teams. I felt in the second quarter she could have used one of those timeouts a little bit earlier. Early second quarter managing is something that we've struggled with. But, I thought Kim overall was fine. But let me ask you guys this in the chat right now. Type on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the absolute worst. How would you rate Kim Mulkey's performance today? I think she was fine. I really do. For me, I would put it at about a 6. I don't think Corey Close was like that much better. Because, look, if you were to told me before the game, hey, Lauren Betts would get in early foul trouble and UCLA would play the best during the period that she sat out, you would say we were probably going to win that game. So, look, the bottom line, I feel LSU got screwed by an all-time bad call. You need those to go your way if you are going to win that game. Okay. Let's go to our first super chat here, and then we'll get to pretty much everyone's comments. Obviously, we are not in a good mood right now. Let's go to Mello. I don't understand why Kim didn't use Morrow as a stretch forward to keep BETTS out of the paint. Well, we did try some of that, right? We did have Morrow take some tough shots with hands in our face. But you have to understand the LSU offense, all right? We are not ever going to be a motion, modern, elite ball movement offense. It's just not what Kim Mulkey has been. We are very static in the half court. That's okay. There are all-time great coaches who are not known for modern offenses, okay? Now, obviously, I don't know basketball as well as I do football. Football film studies is how we got to this point. So maybe I'm out of my realm. I'm not, Gino Oriyama talking right here. But, we're not, that's not our program. We're not some crazy X's and O program. We are built on elite talent, elite grit, elite defense. But that is something we need to work on, is adjusting offensively to what they're doing defensively. UCLA played a really good defensive game, so I give them a lot of credit. But yeah, I felt one thing here, and this is still how I feel about this one player, ANEESAH Morrow, not going to a Final Four during her LSU career will forever hurt me. A player of this caliber to not make a Final Four is hard. It's really, really, really hard. Okay? And we made 2 Elite Eights, and we lost to 2 really, really good teams. 2 National Player of the Years. Or National Player of the Year caliber players, if you will. ANEESAH Morrow is the toughest LSU women's basketball player I've ever seen. She is the most versatile LSU women's basketball player I've ever seen. And she might be my favorite. And I thought nobody would ever touch Simone Augustus. But that's how much I loved watching ANEESAH Morrow play. And I hope there were young girls around the country that was inspired by her, how she plays the game, how she does whatever the team is asking her to do. Versus NC State, leave you open for 3, she drains 2 threes. Versus UCLA, go up against 6'7" players. Y'all, there aren't many instances where our best player, a 6-foot post player, had to go up against someone that's 6'7". Now, Samaya did a lot of that as well, but ANEESAH Morrow is my favorite LSU women's basketball player ever. I'll just say it. Sorry, Simone. They're tied for first. But I will always have a soft spot for ANEESAH Morrow. And I hope the biggest takeaway from this is that young players need to be tough. ANEESAH Morrow took a skull to the face. Her face was swelling, as the announcers pointed out. And she was back in the game 2 minutes after. She was bleeding. She goes to the locker room, and she is back in the game early fourth quarter. And there's plenty of women's players and men's players that are tough. But, man, I cannot tell you how many times you'll see that happen in a player just not trying to tough it out. And ANEESAH Morrow steps right back the freak out there and does that. Okay? It's impossible for me to not love that any more than I do right now. Like, it's what I hope every LSU women's basketball player has in their hearts moving forward for the rest of the Mulkey and any tenure, really. We did not have those tough players during the Nikki Fargas era. We just didn't. Not players that would do something like that. So I'm really excited and really sad at the same time because ANEESAH Morrow is literally the toughest player. I mean, I don't know, like taking a skull. And the thing is, she wasn't able to brace for it. It wasn't her own. It was her own player from Lauren Betts. And I understand some of you want to talk about Lauren Betts. Is she dirty? She did the elbow to Del Rosario and all of that. The thing that will hurt LSU fans the most is you overall slowed Lauren Betts down and you still lost. Okay. But we'll take what we can take. Okay. Morrow is good. She gets minor injuries and you think she's out for the season. What the you won't she got her face caved in. I didn't think that would be my first comment. UCLA is brutally efficient and physically imposing, says Brian. They were the more physical team. They were. I will say 1-3, LSU is better than UCLA. You can even make a case 1-4. LSU is better than UCLA. But 1-7, it's not close. They're a way better team than us. And that was a problem with last year's team as well. So what do we need to do to make our team better? Well, when you think of the LSU offense, it's kind of the same thing, if you will. You have 3 players that can score at any given moment. They can create their own shots. Well, not everybody on your team can do that. So because we have such an ISO, our best players score for us whenever we need them to kind of offense, it makes it hard for player number 4 and player number 5 to basically do the same thing. So we'll see. Let's go to Sherry. We need to invest in some bigs. Well, let's have a conversation about that. Look, I think that the Jersey Wolfenbarger transfer was an overall disappointment. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. She came over from Arkansas with a lot of fanfare, and she played some. She didn't play a minute versus the Wolf Pack. Now that would have made sense if you think about it. Get it? Wolf, whatever. But yeah, I mean, Wolfenbarger just wasn't it. And then Del Rosario took an elbow to the face, and we didn't play her the rest of the game. I don't know if she was hurt or whatever, but Del Rosario was very involved in the UCLA victory last year. But anyone that's watched LSU women's basketball for an extended period of time, Del Rosario was probably the biggest disappointment on the team this year in terms of what was expected and what actually ended up happening. Okay. Jeremy is right. Kaylin Gilbert was bad today. Took way too many shots, and you got to make at least one to justify it. Let's see. Sibley, the bigs for UCLA were the difference. Could not do much with their bigs. Her rebounding was outstanding. Gilbert had a tough game, but UCLA was better today. Why didn't Miracle Shepherd play more? Well, she played some today. The problem was LSU's strategy in this game seemed a little scattered. And I get it because this game took a different turn when BETTS got into the early foul trouble. And it was strange. It was very, very, very strange. Now, let's go to Sherry. UCLA made 10 threes. Pierce says, for years, I've disliked Kim's offensive scheme and the lack of reliable shooters she's brought in. S. Young says, we need to go get Lawson from the portal. Yeah, they're going to need to hit the portal really freaking hard. I think replacing Morrow is going to be harder than replacing Reese. Now, let's take a look at the box score. Box score will tell us a lot about what actually happened in this game. And, the first thing, and let me do this real quick. The first thing is I want you to take a look at the far left column of this box score. And if you're listening online, we'll explain it pretty simply. Okay. One thing I feel Kim can do a better job of is figuring out a better minute structure for this team. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, this was a big problem all season for me, is LSU's team has 3 players that every single game basically played 35 minutes a game or somewhere in that vicinity. And then you had a 4th player play 30 minutes per game a lot of the times. Now, that's not as important because in March you want your best players on the court as much as possible. So I'm a little bit more lenient with that. But I think it's a dangerous game to play when you have all these players that play these minutes because it stunts potentially the development of your role players when you need them to step up in these big games. And in this case, take a look at what happened to our bench. So we played 6 different players. Richard only got in at the very, very, very last moment when Morrow went out. But as you can see, it was just scattered. Last game Poa started. You bench her because she didn't do a whole lot versus NC State. But the difference between Cheyenne Day-Wilson, who only scored 2 points, but really played well last game, getting us in the right set. She had a great post feed tomorrow late in that game versus NC State. I would have flipped the minutes of Gilbert and Cheyenne Day-Wilson in this game. Because you could see Gilbert, while she is more aggressive, to go 0 for 7, when she was struggling, I would have definitely taken her out. But it's just strange. You didn't play Wolfenbarger last game. You play her 7 minutes here. That makes sense. There's more big. Same thing with Del Rosario. It's just a weird minute structure. And then you take a look at UCLA. A lot of their players off the bench played good minutes. They played minimum 10 minutes a game or 10 minutes in this game. It's a strange roster construction. And I feel like we were missing, that number 4 and that number 5, or should I say that second guard outside of, or third guard outside of Michaela and Flage. Okay. So let's get to a few more comments and I have a few more thoughts on this game. Okay. Miracle for KG. Yeah. It's a little bit different because Shepherd, they aren't necessarily the same type of players. And I think Mulkey's decision for keeping Gilbert in the game will be more so, hey, she was our girl in crunch time throughout the season. Now let's take a look at a few more stats from this game. LSU from 3, 5 of 15. UCLA, 10 of 24. So they took 9 more threes than we did and made 5 more. We are not a 3-point shooting team. But we do need to get better shooting from the outside. And it would be nice to have some better outside shooters on this team. And in particular, spot and shoot players from the outside. Spot and shoot players space the floor. It's part of what makes what ANEESAH Morrow's done at LSU even more impressive, because she had to play a lot of compressed lanes because we weren't able to spread the defense out as much because we don't have snipers on the outside as shooters. So you see a lot of the role players for LSU. Cheyenne Day-Wilson, she's not a spot-up shooter. Wolfenbarger, not that. Del Rosario, Richard can shoot it. I'd like to see her. I would have liked to see her play more this season. Miracle Shepherd, not that either. Gilbert, not that either. Poa, not that either. So finding spot-up shooters is good if you want to play a post style. London Jones, even though she was 1 of 5, she overall is a really good shooter. Kiki Rice, even though she was 0 for 3, overall she's a really good shooter and she spreads you out. Alina, whatever her name is, from Denmark or whatever, she was 0 for 2 from 3, but she could still spread the floor. And, of course, Gabriela Jaquez, the sister of Jaime Jaquez, she was 4 or 5 from 3. She spread the floor all game, and she destroyed us in many ways. Okay? Ugh. Let's go to James. Turnovers just can't win against a team as good as UCLA. Let's go to Chance. Very level-headed response here. Honestly, an Elite Eight run is what this team is. It was a great season. We don't have a balanced roster yet. I think that's fair. I think with the way that the team played in the first half on the road versus Kentucky, obviously we were able to come back and win that game. You see how we performed at the end of the season, albeit with the hurt Flaugier, blowing that lead versus Ole Miss and, SEC tournament exit. I think most of us would say, hey, we're an Elite 18. We're not quite a 1 seed. We're on that 2-3 line. We beat a 2 seed, and that's it. Women's basketball is very consolidated. It's hard to crack into the elite. The same coaches and the same teams are always there for a reason. And UCLA's been knocking on the door, and this was their year. This was their year. Many didn't pick us to win the game last year. Okay? But could we have won that game? Yes. Yes. Reed has a good question. What does Flaugier decide to do this all season? I think she comes back. Yeah, and look, there's a lot of factors into the Del Rosario situation. Ephraim makes a really good point here. Okay. Oh, is Big Dex in here? I was waiting for a Big Dex comment. There he is. The big dog. Tell Rodney in red what's good. Rain performer. Let's go. Let's go to Coach Smith. He says that was a roller coaster game. Yes, it was. Now, coming up next, we do have to make one, and I mean one objective claim about this game. That is a tough pill to swallow.
Let's go!
On a journey together with Zion Imaging, I want you to see this experience up close. And me as a wedding and event DJ, I watched how everybody had so much fun with Zion Imaging. And a big reason for their success is the team. Yes, Jaron Thomas and his family started this off as a passion project, and they have one simple goal in mind: taking your event to the next level. Whether it's a wedding, reunion, quinceañera, school, or corporate event, Zion Imaging is all about family-friendly fun. And I gotta show you on this tour the high-level technology that quickly sends your video session to your phone, whether it's iPhone or Android. Yes, it's the Zion Imaging 360 spin booth experience, serving North Texas, North Louisiana, South Arkansas, Orlando, and more. Give us a call, 318-469-4265. Check us out on Facebook or book us at Zion Imaging, XYANimaging.com. Are you a die-hard LSU fan, and would you like to understand the complex game of football better? Well, sign up today for our PHL Patreon. This is his second touchdown. Counter G while you're pulling the guard. We dive deep on recruiting and the transfer portal at a level that you have never seen before. Film breakdowns from so many different angles, and my personal favorites, oh yeah, the analytics, baby. I like to get nerdy. We take a look at cutting-edge statistics that help all of us understand LSU football even better. And guess what? Every new sign-up gets a Joe Burrow card in the mail for free. But we got to save the best for last. Our private Discord community of LSU fans from around the globe. Sign up today. Patreon.com/LSU football and put your name on our wall of patrons. Special thanks to everybody who's on here. Let's freaking go. It's okay to admit that the other team was just better. Kim Mulkey, here are the facts. Year 1, 26-6, round of 32. Year 2, national champions, 34-2. Year 3, 31-6, Elite 8. Year 4, 31-6, Elite 8. Should this team have made the Final Four? No. Not based on what we saw during the season. Sorry. And that's okay. That's okay. UCLA had a better team than us. They had a sharpshooter go crazy. And the funny thing is, we just broke down the UCLA box score. Their other guards shot terribly. They're actual good guards. When a player comes off the bench who didn't take a shot in a game and knocks all these threes down, it's a game changer. And then our top player throughout the season off the bench was Kaylin Gilbert. She did the opposite of that. That was a difference. All right. We did not have Flau'jae peaking, which was a huge, and I mean huge, benefit for our team last year. She was incredible again versus UCLA today. It's just tough. It's still tough to swallow that pill because there were opportunities for us to win this game. They were there. Now, obviously, you hit the portal. I know a lot of people want Lawson from Florida State, but we'll see what happens there. I also think you need to make some really difficult roster decisions on some players that you might think could be something. Okay. Now, big thanks to Jared Addison. Drops a super chat. And there you go. Now, I want to talk about some of the other LSU sports. Shout out to the troopers out there that stayed up super late to watch LSU baseball. I was one of them. Now, I was up that late at the DJ wedding last night. And it was a pleasant surprise to come home and see LSU baseball in the iconic gold uniforms. Nice series sweep there. LSU softball currently playing right now. I have no idea what's going on in that game. And there you go. Shout out LSU gymnastics. Shout out Paul freaking Skins. Shout out Will Campbell and Mason Taylor. Let's go. And all our other NFL draft prospects. Emory Jones, I believe, met with the Saints per Nick Underhill. There you go. But if I were to pick a team that will win it all this year, it's probably going to be UConn in the women's. Probably. And that's okay. Gino Auriemma. I'm fine with that. Let's go to Luke. One thing I've noticed since we've had Mulkey is her teams commit a lot of turnovers and just downright stupid turnovers. All right. Glad you brought this up, Luke. Super glad you brought this up. Now, it's okay to talk about the state of women's college basketball. These games in the NCAA tournament get unfreaking believably sloppy. Now, for a lot of us, me including, women's basketball is not our favorite sport. I'm always very open about that. So when we watch women's basketball, we're mostly probably for 75% of our lives watching just LSU women's basketball. Whereas I would say a good 70 to 80% of you watching us right now, you're a college football fan, you're an NFL football fan. So your LSU football consumption is like a 10% consumption of your overall football consumption. So what happens is you have a more well-rounded view of the sport. Now, Luke, you might watch a lot of women's college basketball, but you're one of the smartest football commenters that we have. You've been rocking with me for a while, so I'm guessing you're like me. One thing I decided to do was try and watch as much other women's college basketball streams as and games as I possibly could. And as ugly as you thought some of the turnovers were, and we'll talk about Michaela Williams in a second. She had a lot of turnovers in Spokane, a lot. And Michaela had a tough game today, really tough game. What I want to fairly bring up is that the worst crunch time game I have ever seen in a big moment was Duke versus South Carolina before LSU and UCLA played. Now, part of the reason why I was watching that game is because, well, I was waiting on my game to start. It was atrociously played. It was atrociously coached, more so on the Duke side of it than the SC side of it. But I kid you not. It looked as if Duke forgot how to play the game of basketball at all. Go watch the final 5 minutes of that game. I've never seen that. Players for both teams were barely able to keep their feet. They were just falling. Not fouls, they were just falling. Airball threes, bad possessions, can't hold on to the ball. It was a mess. All right. So have we had turnover problems all year? Yeah, we had some very ugly turnovers in big moments throughout the season. But we aren't the only ones. I really do mean it. It got very sloppy. Now, some of it is just the fact that these games are such high pressure. These are young people playing high leverage games. Okay. And that's okay. But a lot of it is tired legs. I have long been a proponent of this, and I'll be honest, I rarely bet on games, especially women's basketball. I just don't know it as well from the betting side of things. But normally I will bet the team that plays the earlier game before the Sunday championship game. So I bet LSU plus 4.5 because they played earlier. So they had that little bit of extra rest because you're not even given 2 full days. You're given a day and a half, and you have to stay up really late on Friday night to get ready to play a Sunday afternoon game. It is very unfair to the players. You're just tired. You're not used to playing games with that short of a turnaround. Outside of course, the SEC tournament and a few tournaments you play early in the season. But I have long been a proponent that I hate the fact that on Friday nights, the tournament teams that have to play on the Friday nights, they have to turn around and play an early window Sunday game. We saw this in the men's as well. For those that didn't see this, Tennessee put up 15 first half points versus Houston. What happened? Well, they played late on Friday. I hate that they do these to the student athletes because, well, as a society, the time that we watch the most sports is in the early Sunday window. It's clinching that NFL appetite from when you're actually watching, the most popular sport. You're getting to watch these high leverage games on early Sunday afternoons. Okay. So that's really one way to explain what happened at that Duke South Carolina game. And it also could have explained some of the sloppy play that we had today. Once again, a lot of people consider that a lame excuse. Now, as far as LSU's side of it, I do feel our players are a little rigid. It does seem at times we play as if we are afraid of making a mistake compared to actually going out there and making a play. And that can make your team very static, and that can make your team very beatable. Let's go to Sibley. Pulling hard for the Longhorns against the TCU Frogs. Man, I have not been impressed by Texas, but I do think they win today versus Haley Van Lith, who's been incredible. Anybody that ever plays for LSU, I'm always going to cheer for them unless they transfer to an SEC rival. If you transfer to an SEC rival, I can't cheer for you. It's just not how it works. Okay. But Luke, it was a very astute observation. Pierce wants to talk about Chris Hilton. I know he was proud of his boot thing, scoring 28 points today. It's crazy though, Flage screwing up her eyeball, and then less than 48 hours later, putting up 28. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's go to a few of you asked me to share the clip of the worst call I can remember. Okay. Let's do it. So 30 seconds in the lane still a rule. All right. So this was a call I was referencing earlier. It was a 4-point game. I believe UCLA was ahead by 4 when this play happened. Okay. And I will play it in slow-mo here. As you can see, I rewind it. Clearly hits UCLA player's foot right there. Okay. You'll see, number one, should Kim be on the court? No. But number two, the referee is looking right at the play. Somebody explain this to me. Somebody explain this to me. How can you be looking right at the play? Right at the play. You're looking right at the play. Why? Why do we let this happen? A simple review fixes this. So, as Mike points out, referee could not go to the monitor. Could not go to the monitor. And why couldn't the referee go to the monitor? Well, this play wasn't within the 2-minute framework. This play happened with 2 minutes and 31 seconds left to go. And for some reason, you can't review in the outside the final 2 minutes, even though an out of bounds review shouldn't take that much time. It's either off the player or not. We'll keep it going. We'll give you another angle. Ball clearly out of bounds, rolls to Simone Augustus. And right there. Okay. God bless, dude. I mean, why do we let this happen? Why do we let the refereeing be like this? This makes no sense. I mean, even from this angle that's not as good. Look at that. She's right there. She's right there. How can you look? How can you have eyeballs there? How do you not see the ball hit her foot? Game shouldn't end like that. So I get it. You can't go to the monitor. But, I see this in the XF freaking L. There are referees that are eyes in the sky, and they can fix it, radio down to the referee in 2 seconds. Now, I understand we were losing by 4 points with 2 minutes and 31 seconds left. Now, as an LSU 4.5 better, I really wanted that call. I don't think it changes the outcome of the game, but I don't know if it changes the outcome of the game. I can also confidently say I think LSU is better off covering the 4.5. Wink, wink, nod, nod. And you do begin to wonder, a referee looking directly at the play, knowing she cannot be reviewed. Is there something nefarious going on there? You're looking directly at it. There wasn't a player blocking your eyesight. Now, was Kim too close on the floor? Yeah, she was too close to the play, but she wasn't in the referee's line of vision. Uh-oh, the Master Blaster is here. I can't do it right now. I'm still too hurt at this juncture. Huh? Let's go to Chance. I have a serious question. Is 3 seconds in the lane still a rule? Last I checked, it is. Get to a few Twitter DMs here. I saw this since we're on the subject of basketball, and I'm not going to get on another Matt McMahon rant. I'm friends with Matt Moscona. We're not close per se, but we have a long history. So they were saying that they were asking, is Cooper Flagg the best freshman basketball player of all time? And Moscona tweeted out, Chris Jackson averaged 30 points as a true freshman. And my dad says this all the time, and anyone that's over the age of 45 swears by this, that Chris Jackson is the best SEC point guard they have ever seen. Now, I don't think he's better than Maravich, who also played for LSU. And there are better there are better talents Obviously, freshman John Wall is freshman D Rose. I mean, there's a lot of like freshman all-time point guard seasons, if you will. But it is still crazy that Chris Jackson averaged 30 points per game. But I do think Duke's going to win it all on the men's side. I'll say it again. I think we should move on to a new coach. Okay? Oh, Chance. Do you think the refs cheat for the city of Los Angeles? Ask the Saints about that. That's a good point. Sibley, an honorable man. That's why I love golf. I have called a penalty on myself when no one else is looking. Now, there's plenty of powerful people who aren't as honorable as you, Sibley, when it comes to scoring golf. Plenty of powerful people, if you will. But Sibley, you're an honorable man. Let's go to Lewoski. Everybody, welcome to Lewoski. Missed too many shots, no dominant center. Also, our offense is too flawed to play against a team like South Carolina. Yeah, okay. You are right that we had a lot of flaws. But I do think this would have been the best opportunity for us to beat South Carolina, who has not played their best this tournament. In fact, they played terrible today. And we talked about the Duke game earlier. Duke forgot how to play the game of basketball in the final quarter. I mean, it was I'm still kind of rattled by some of the decisions made by the players and coaches of that team. It was weird. But, South Carolina was definitely beatable. I will also say South Carolina is just a terrible matchup for us for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, it would have been nice. Would have been nice to play him again. Okay. Now, I'm about to go cry. Okay, I'm going to miss some ANEESAH MORROW. I'm going to miss some last year Poa. As critical as I've been of her during times this season, I love everything she's given to the program. Here's what we're going to do. Next 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. If you super chat, we'll keep the stream going all day long. Friendly reminder about our friends at Fast Draft Fantasy. Sign up now. Use my promo code Carter. Fantasy drafts that less than 6 minutes. Fast Draft Fantasy. Most drafts don't go over 10. For $10, you can win $50K, especially if you're an NFL draft guy. Go to Fast Draft Fantasy, download the app, sign up using my promo code Carter. It helps me out in a major way. And when you have a chance to deposit match bonus up to $50, which means you're getting essentially an extra $50 to do drafts. In those $10 drafts, that's 10 shots to win $50K. That's a lot of 50s. Drop and give me 50. I played that song last night. Sign up now. Okay? Perfect segue. I would have played Dave Wilson, number 50, a lot more this season. Or maybe this season, but in this game. I would have played her over Gilbert there at the end. Okay? I strongly disagree with this, though. You said I didn't see the fire in this team today. I don't think so. I really don't. I think we honestly played hard. I think we were very competitive. We had a bunch of courageous performances with players playing through injuries. Okay. I do think with how this team was constructed, for you to get through NC State and UCLA, you weren't going to win both of these games if your big three didn't play well in one of the games, right? You could get away with it once, like we saw versus NC State. Michaela and Morrow had great games. And, of course, you had a bad performance from Flage. Today, you had a great performance from Flage. Morrow was kind of stifled, and Michaela had a tough day. 5 turnovers in the first half. She had a 5-turnover game this last game. It's okay to say that while at the same time also point out she was amazing in the fourth quarter of this past game, and she was amazing all season long. It was a tough day for her, but that's okay. I am fine with that because, it wasn't a great day for Lauren Betts. It wasn't a great day for Kaylin Rice. Their 2 best guards, let me make sure I'm getting this correct. Rice, number 1, and Jones, number 3. They had 13 total points on a combined 3 of 15 shooting and 1 of 8 from 3. These are 2 really good guards, London Jones and Kiki Rice. Now, neither of them are as good as Michaela Williams, but they're very, very, very good players. LSU is not afforded that luxury in consecutive games, if you will. They got away with it some in this last game versus NC State. Michaela Williams was not afforded that luxury today because, well, the other guards were not great for LSU either, outside of course, Flage. Okay. Michaela today, 10 points, 4-13 shooting. She did not knock down a 3. She did rebound the ball well. She had a bunch of good rebounds in this game. 7. As many rebounds as Morrow today. But just a tough Michaela game. Okay? Tough game. No, that's funny. I'm telling you, most Lewaski's a new viewer. Welcome in. I'll say this: the second most popular state on PHL is Alabama. Ironically, we have a lot of viewers in Tuscaloosa, and our most popular city outside of the state of Louisiana is Mobile. For our new viewers, it's crazy how many Mobile, Fairhope. I have a lot of Birmingham. Shout out to Sherry. And then Shreveport, Black Goatee, and the 360 spin booth based in Shreveport. And you attend Oregon State. Okay. Watching from Oregon, you attend Oregon State, and you're from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Well, I hope you tune in more often. Welcome to the community. I would have played Del Rosario more. Now, here's the thing. We don't know if she was hurt because she took an elbow in the face. But, I do think it's important to have watched Del Rosario all season. She just wasn't it. It's weird. There's a lot of different factors why she hadn't been as good. But, I do think a 6'6" player would have been better. And by the way, we have a Discord. Please go sign up to our PHL Patreon. You get all our extra film studies and all of that. Patreon.com/LSU football. And, of course, we're giving that Jamar Chase autographed jersey out at the end of April. All you have to do is sign up and you're automatically entered. All right. I also think Del Rosario didn't play as much because BETTS didn't play as much. The only reason I would have played Del Rosario in this game at all is because of BETTS. But once Del Rosario drew that second foul, there wasn't any sense of playing her with the with BETTS on the bench. Tony said we missed easy shots. Yeah, there was a few bunnies. We do need to get better at that, but once again, there are a lot of point blank layups missed in women's basketball, and that's on all levels. And it's just simple logic. You don't have finger rolls in women's basketball. You know, everyone mentions, oh man, women's basketball, there's no dunks. Well, no shit. It's a different caliber of athlete playing on the same size goal. It's weird, right? Everything in women's basketball is different in well, not everything, but certain dimensions change in women's basketball. 3-point line, shorter. The basketball itself is smaller. But all of that and the hoop dimensions are the same. It's still a 10-foot goal. So the distance to make a layup is just tougher. It's more of a shot than it is a layup. Men's basketball point blank layups, guys are jumping right at the rim. They're able to get the ball to glass contact is a shorter distance. So there's a lot of different factors that come into play. It's harder to block those kinds of shots, right? Because, you're actually laying it up. Whereas, women's basketball layup is a shot. You're actually shooting it into the goal. So you're just going to see more of that. I call a lot of JUCO games, and that is the single most jarring difference, is how many layups are missed in the women's game. In the men's game, even the 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" player. So in JUCO, you rarely, I mean, are there players out there that are 6'7", 6'8"? Yeah, I mean, every team has a couple. But even the 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" guys are able to jump high enough to get the ball right at the rim. So, yeah, there's a lot of missed layups, but there's a reason. And is it painful? Yes. Should they still be missed? No, but that's why that's the case. Okay. And once again, it's still hard to make a finger roll in men's basketball. Let's go to Sibley. Mulkey's great teams were centered around bigs, although fans push point guard her position. She also hates zone defenses like all great coaches. Any news on a big joining the Tigers out of the portal? I am not smart enough in women's college basketball, especially now that the portal is as freaking wild. I mean, it's crazy wild. Now, it's and this is where women's basketball really destroys the men's. And I'm still very bullish on the future of women's college basketball, more so than men's, because players stay on the same teams. It's rare that an elite player like HVL jumps from 3 schools in 3 years. There's a reason why that happened, but it's rare. Like, transfers just don't really happen. One thing, so you also have that. You also don't have players jumping to the pros early in women's college basketball, whereas, men's, if you're Cooper Flag, you're gone. And even if you're not Cooper Flag, let's take another player, ironically named Carter Bryant. He was the 3rd best player on Arizona. He's going to the NBA next year, more than likely. He's a lottery pick, fringe lottery pick, but you get the point. So women's college basketball, you really get to grow and you really get to like the players. You're getting at least 2 good seasons. And think about like Michaela Williams and Flage, they are set. This was, in social media, you really keep up with like follower counts and all of that. It, I don't think people realize how hard it is to get 150,000 followers on something like Instagram. All right. It's really freaking hard to do it. All right. You know who's got 50,000 followers on Instagram? Last year, Poa. I'm serious. I was looking for an image for her for a thumbnail. I made her the thumbnail image of our last post, and oftentimes the best photos are on a player's Instagram page. Okay, so I normally rip the photo from there. I was shocked. That's what the LSU brand does for you. And players and fans have gotten to know her story. And just even one off season to the next really helps out. So the portal just isn't. Is it still a big deal? Yeah, I mean, Angel Reese, of course, Kateri Poole. So not only with like starters, but with role players, yeah, the portal is still a big deal. But the one thing that makes the portal different in women's college basketball, and I could get totally roasted for this. It's fine. I just don't know it as well. Is that men's college basketball? There's a lot more needle moving players from the portal that come from the non-Power 5. All right, so there was a viral post. Charlotte, a college, a non-Power 4 school, had a Final Four starting roster, literally, or a Sweet 16 starting roster. There was an assistant coach who went through and broke down all the Sweet 16 teams, and Charlotte, UNC Charlotte had an entire roster of Sweet 16 caliber players that were studs on their new teams. That just doesn't happen as much in women's college basketball. The breadth of players just aren't as wide, if you will. All right. So with the portal, yeah, it's not as wild and as deep as it is in men's. So that makes it that much more important to get the elite players while they're there. Okay. Like, could you imagine if the portal was around the way that it is now with like with Ja Morant back in like 2019? I went straight to the pro, so that's not the best example, but you get it. Now, Mulkey's great teams are centered around bigs, although fans push point guard her position. Yeah, look, this is why I keep going back to ANEESAH Morrow. I think most LSU fans understand how great she is. I've even seen national media members say Morrow is so underrated. So I'm not saying like we're underrating her impact, but like this season was an all-time great season by a lot of different standards. If you to use a comparison, I mean, I guess you could say she was Malik Neighbors, a record setter, unfreaking believable superstar that didn't, win anything crazy, but was just ridiculously productive. And your eye test just consistently told you they're built different. They're ridiculously good. And, we're not going to have Morrow next season. And I don't know if we're going to have that dominant big. This is going to be the first time in eons that we're not going to have, a dominant big coming back to our team. All right, now Samaya Smith is coming back, but I don't think her game is an alpha game, if you will. So our offense, I really do think needs to become more modern. And I think Hakeem brought it up here. The Ice Age 2.0 offense. I will say, when it comes to Ice Age 2-point offense, if you watch a Don Staley coach team, they're not the most pleasant watch either. They don't run. They're not as modern as people think they are. But I do agree, our offense needs more motion. It needs a lot more creativity. It's on hard mode. It feels a little, I don't know, like everything is really difficult to come by. Now, it could be successful if you have Michaela Williams and Flau'jae Johnson, which we will have next season. But I do think this offense needs more motion. Let's go to Lewaski. What position do you feel is the most important that Coach Mulkey should attack in the portal? I don't know. What do you guys think? I think most of you are saying go get a true big. Ephraim says we need Del Rosario to become Camila Cardoso. That's just not going to happen. And Cardoso was drafted ahead of Angel Reese. It's just not going to happen. Bob, thank you for the super chat. Bob is a Texas fan. And what's ironic is I think Texas is playing right now. I feel honored that Texas is playing in the biggest game imaginable. Actually, no, they're not playing right now. They played yesterday. So this is what I was talking about, okay? So TCU and Texas, they played a couple of days ago, and they got to play at night. So tomorrow, TCU and Texas are going to get to play night games. And USC and Connecticut are going to get to play a night game. And LSU and UCLA, Duke and South Carolina had to play day games on a shorter turnaround. I know I keep pushing that, but it's hard. It's a lot harder to turn around. It just is if you're having to play a game at noon. But yes, the women's final two games are tomorrow. Or not the final two games, the final two games of the round of 8, Elite 8, if you will. Now, Auburn in cruise control versus Michigan State. It looks like they're going to win. One of the sharpest things you could have done, and I'm winning a few bracket polls because of this, is just picking all the 4 number 1 seeds. Every analytic efficiency metric that you could point to pointed to this being the strongest set of number 1 seeds ever. So in every bracket poll that I was in, I picked all 4 number 1 seeds. Just different variations of it. So what do we need to do as a program? Do we need to go hire Bruce Pearl? Let's go to Bob. Super chat. He says, all games should be night games. Or, this is what I would do if I was the Final Four. Okay? I can understand not doing it in the Elite 8 because it is more expensive to do my suggestion here. But if you really want that Sunday early window, what you need to do is play the first games on Thursday night. And once again, it makes it egregiously more expensive for everybody. to go a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I think that's the only fair way you can do it. I think it's unfair to the players. I really do. I think it's very unfair. Yeah, I don't know. I really, really, really don't know. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you want a big to be developed, you want Kim Mulkey to be the coach. But for some, I mean, there's a lot of different factors that play with Del Rosario. I will say, she did get a good NIL deal, a few NIL deals. So I don't know if that would factor into her decision. I know she's with Gig Gordon. I know she got McDonald's NIL deal through Angel Reese. Let's go to Chance. He says, I'm so glad Bama lost yesterday. I missed that game. And my dad called me and told me about it. I watched the highlights afterwards, and I'm like, man, like Cooper Flagg is for real. And I am begging for the Pelicans. Willie Green's not coaching tonight. I am begging for the Pelicans to lose and get the number 1 overall pick in the lottery. Could you imagine Cooper Flagg, Zion Williamson, and Trey Murphy? Could you imagine? Y'all, that is basketball bliss, if you will. But I don't think Cooper Flagg will have a cold envelope for my New Orleans Pelicans. Daniel Dickinson. I know that's a hard turn. There was a joke mixed in there that I could have made, but I decided not to. Some of you will pick it up. I know Jared picked it up. But man, dude, there's some of these LSU baseball players where you're like, you don't want to say, hey, this is like the best I've ever seen, when you got freaking Todd Walker in the broadcast booth and DJ LeMahieu still balling, Alex Bregman still playing all that. But man, Curriell and Dickinson, dude, they freaking jump off the screen when you watch them play baseball. Holy shit. Dude, those dudes are insane. Like they are so unfreaking believably athletic. It's just like, wow, holy crap. Like both of them, 5-tool players. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Dickinson had that, what was it, a big double last night? I freaking love me some Daniel Dickinson. And think about it this way. There's no person more popular in Baton Rouge, Louisiana than a DD. By the way, Daniel Dickinson, I think we all see he's going to be like a big LSU star. Okay. I'm trying to think of NIL deals. Why is there not, they have these infomercials. Why hasn't Daniel Dickinson gotten a designated driver infomercial bag? Hi, this is Daniel Dickinson. if I could tell you the value of a DD, it's from me, DD. I know I didn't word that smoothly at all. I'm not a copywriter by trade. But holy shit, dude, that dude is so good. Bob, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. I understand. I'm not the LSU baseball guy. Go follow my friend Blake Ruffino. Go follow me. You know where to follow the LSU baseball experts. But number 14, man. And by 14 is like the most swaggerless number of all the early digits. 14 just has no aura at all. Like the last time 14 looked cool at LSU was Tyrann Mathieu freshman year. It's just not. It's just kind of. But DD is that guy, bro. Well, you know what's funny, Pierce? I saw that New York Yankees thing yesterday, and the Curriel stuff. So there was an MIT graduate who went to the Yankees and said, "Hey, you guys aren't wooding the bats correctly." So he readjusted where the thickest part of the wood is on the bat, and the Yankees hit 9 home runs yesterday. So, like, I was thinking about players that have that lack of power label, and we're just so obsessed with home runs. But man, Curriel's good, dude. Dude, they're insanely good at baseball. This is a good question about Jelani Watkins. And the funny thing is, we have not talked football at all. It's our main thing, obviously. We're an hour into it. Normally, football creeps in a little bit earlier. And I wasn't going to talk any football. And this is more of a track and field topic anyway, but it's also a football topic. So Jelani Watkins ran a 10:01 100-meter dash. And that is so fast. Like, it's anything that is run under 10 means you are a world-class sprinter. Now, world-class speed is overused. LSU really hasn't had a whole lot of world-class speed on their football team because there's just not a whole lot of people that have world-class speed. Xavier Carter and Trendon Holiday had world-class speed. 10:01 is world-class speed. So there was a discussion, and someone brought it up in our Discord. Once again, sign up using our link down below. I believe it was Sam in our Discord who said, "Hey, should Jelani Watkins just focus on track?" Now, I highly recommend you watch a video from a friend I've made in England named Jordan from a YouTube page called The Long Play. And he broke down the economics of an Olympian. So if you're a U.S. gold medalist, you get $37,000 when you win a gold medal at the Olympics. The top prize you can get in the sport. So let's just say Jelani Watkins worked his ass off and only focused on becoming a sprinter. Now, let's just say he does win that gold medal and gets $37,000. It's tough to win a gold medal, obviously, as a U.S. Olympian athlete. And let's just say you got all the sponsorships that you could possibly think of. Well, he's not a big name now. Like, to really get sponsorships as an Olympian, if you reach the Simone Biles, Katie Ledecky, Michael Phelps level Olympian, yeah, you're going to make over $100 million in your lifetime as an athlete. But that's only if you reach that level, and that's really hard to do. Really, really, really hard to do. Okay. So I've gotten this message, not only in the Discord, but just in general. Could Jelani Watkins not play LSU football and just focus in on track and field? Well, with the way college football revenue sharing is going, every single player will make north of 100K at the bare minimum directly from the team. So I don't think Jelani Watkins is going to give up LSU football. Now, could he? Yes. Would it make some sense? Yes. I think he will play LSU football next season. Now, the next thing is, does this mean anything as a football player? And the answer is no. It doesn't mean anything. Track speed and actual speed in a football game are different things. And I think most people know that. The fastest 40-yard dash times in the NFL rarely do work out in the NFL as actual players. We all know the story of John Ross, Henry Ruggs. Xavier Worthy was good as a rookie in the NFL, but he's with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. As long as you don't do anything crazy off the field, which I'm not a Chiefs YouTuber, so I won't go down that road. But the point is, track speed does not mean you're a good football player. Now, I'm not saying Jelani Watkins isn't a good football player, but it's not a prerequisite being a fast human being, along with actually getting touches at LSU. Leonard Fournette was not a good player because he was fast. He was a fast football player at 230 pounds. So it's tough. Let's go to Dre. I haven't forgot about you. Gotta love a dad. Gotta love a dad joke, man. Dre says, nowadays everybody want to talk. Let's be real. You playing your ass off and the refs calling BS. Yeah. I won't go down that road again. Would the referees have changed? Yeah, I don't know. Is Lauren Betts a dirty player? I don't know. It's kind of like the Zach Edey thing. Is she officiated different because she's 6'7"? Mm. Mm-mm. ANEESAH MORROW, dude. God, dude, it's gonna be hard, man. I just don't. I don't think I'm ever going to get over her not getting to a Final Four. Oh, Ephraim's coming after Corey Close. Hal's definitely one of our sharper basketball minds. He says refs weren't why LSU lost. Oh yeah, wait, I forgot about that. Simone Biles was just on LSU's campus. That's crazy. It's wild, like the random athletes that have come by LSU campus and like no one knows. It's a lot harder for this like now in the Twitter era, but I remember I was walking around campus. This was like 2013, 2014, and the LSU track was empty. Like just there's nobody there except one person training, and it was freaking Lolo Jones. Okay, now it's not random because she's from LSU. I was like, Lolo Jones was arguably the best of American athlete alive. There's plenty of people that will argue hurdles is like the hardest thing you can do, and at her peak, she was freaking the best women's hurdler on the planet. So it wasn't Lolo Jones that shocked me. I looked over, there was one other random individual there, and it was Indomitian Sue. I couldn't believe it. It was Indomitian freaking Sue. Or at least I thought it was Indomitian Sue. And I was like, it is wild that Lolo Jones is not the best athlete within a 100-yard vicinity here. It's me. I'm kidding. But yeah, one day I was in the LSU indoor facility, and randomly I saw Daryl Green. Washington football team Hall of Famer. I was like, dang, dude, this is crazy. This is random. Daryl Green's in here. Daryl Green is one of the best football players of all time. Oh, come on, Pierce. Please. And go jump into an erupting volcano. Let's go to Hal. Which is harder to accept in a loss? Last year's Elite Eight or today? Oh, it's not close. Last year was way harder to accept. Okay. There's a lot of different reasons. This last year's team was just more talented than this year's team. We exceeded expectations or met expectations this year, and last year obviously we way underperformed our national championship or bust expectation. The thing that drove me crazy in that Iowa game is it felt early like we were going to win that game. I have no idea to this day why we kept putting HVL on Caitlin. Now, could Caitlin have beat us if we freaking put Bruce Bowen on her? Probably so, with the way she played yesterday. But the fact we didn't change up anything when Caitlin Clark, was freaking going Super Saiyan on us, felt like that was a bigger missed opportunity because I felt that team could have won it all just because of what we had. Obviously, Angel, if I remember correctly, got nicked up early in that game. But yeah, that team, our team was so damn talented. But we just weren't deep. Like that was the hardest aspect of that game. Does that whole season change if Samaya Smith's healthy? I don't know. I mean, there's so many what ifs about last year. I think for me this year, I don't think either are hard to accept. LSU versus Caitlin Clark, and I've shared this take plenty of times, and it always gets a lot of pushback, but LSU fans should feel grateful towards Caitlin Clark because we were able to ride that wave, and it made our national championship the most historic women's basketball national championship ever. And there will never be a more historic national championship than our national championship. Now, I'm not saying we're the best national champion of all time. We're not even in the top 10 in that category. I wouldn't be stupid enough to say that. But it was the single most historic national championship. And then to follow it up the next season and lose, I think everyone would admit that a team should have been no less than a Final Four team. But there was drama that we had to deal with. There was injuries, and we just weren't it for whatever reason. So we then get into this year, and look, I could say a lot of things about this year's team, but if you watched the games from this year's team, we were an Elite Eight team. I don't think anyone could have ever said LSU, that LSU is one of the 4 best teams in the country. Now, were there plenty of times where you could say, hey, LSU is one of the 8 best teams in the country? Yes, there's plenty of instances where you could say that. But 4 best teams? No. Last year, yes, we had a top 4 roster, if not the best roster. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying, Pierce. And you say it's pretty damning that you had 2 opponents in the head twice in the same game. Well, in theory, 3. And head injuries are a big deal. It changes the rest of your game. Not only physically, but subconsciously. And mentally as well. Okay. Now, that'll do it for me. Big thanks to all our top super chatters. Mello coming in hot. Bob. John Sibley, and of course, the great J Red. Thanks again to Fast Draft Fantasy. Please go sign up. Please use my promo code Carter. And special thanks to our friends at the Zion Imaging 360 Spin Booth Experience. Okay. Yeah. I will say, if we would have beaten UCLA today, this would have been Kim's best coaching job. Easily would have been Kim's best coaching job, even including the national championship. But, there's a lot of things structurally we need to do. I will also say this, though. I'm not saying I'm content with where we are because, in this spot, you mix being an LSU fan while at the same time throwing criticisms and your thoughts on LSU. Do you know how fun it is that we're even relevant in this sport? Like, I think it's so cool we are just relevant. And I understand that is very participation trophy-esque, but a very strong case can be made that the hardest elite group to be in is women's college basketball. Like, that's what made Don Staley so great. Like, the fact that she has South Carolina as the number one overall program is insane. The fact that Kim Mulkey was able to do that at Baylor and win one at win one here at LSU is insane. Like, it's so hard to get a program in the elites of the elites. I think in football, it's very, very, very hard. So that's probably the hardest. But, man, the fact that we are constantly amongst the 8 best women's college basketball programs is insane. Now, this is a second different era where this has happened, obviously the mid-2000s. So it's not like totally out of the ordinary. But it is so hard to get thrown out of that club. Or excuse me, it's easy to get thrown out of that club. It's hard to get back into it. So I love that. And Kim has us there. I will pick apart her timeout usage for forever. I'll pick apart her offense for forever. I'll pick apart substitution patterns and all of that. But objectively speaking, this is a woman that has a statue in the state of Louisiana. This is a woman who got introduced to the Basketball Hall of Fame by Michael Jordan. This is a woman who is the only human being to win a national championship as a player, assistant coach, and head coach. And look, this is a woman who has her detractors and people and myself that love her. I freaking do. I mean, she's just an awesome freaking coach. But I just like the fact that we're freaking relevant. I like the fact that, we've recruited players like Flage and Michaela and Morrow and Reese, players that not only are awesome, but players that are very affable and easy to root for. Now, Reese, I understand, is more polarizing and controversial, and she welcomes that. But it's the cool program. I haven't seen the photos or any of this yet, but I guarantee you Flage got swarmed after the game by hundreds of little girls just wanting to take a photo, touch her hand, sign an autograph. How many programs could say that? I know UConn has that. USC has that. I guarantee you LSU had a bigger group of neutral fans wanting autographs and photos than UCLA did, and they won today. So not only are we relevant, I brought up the Last Year POA Instagram account earlier today. Like, and this would be my recruiting pitch to everybody and for women's college basketball. You might not succeed here. It's hard to succeed here. It's hard to play for Kim. I would never, ever say that this is easy, but I mean, she can change your life. The LSU brand could change your freaking life. It really can. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Tonight we are doing. We're doing some lemon pepper chicken wings. Let's go.